So welcome to all of you in this channel. Now we will start further our chapter from non-metals. In the previous class, you have learned that there are very few non-metals as compared to metals. So today we will discuss about the non-metals. In our previous lecture, we discussed metals. So today we discuss non-metals. What are non-metals? Examples are carbon, sulfur, iodine, oxygen and hydrogen. So these are called the non-metals. You all know carbon. Carbon in each and every organic material like plants, like trees, human beings, wood, each and everything which is made by the nature, in each and everything carbon exists. And if you take a coal, piece of coal, that is the example of carbon. Sulfur, iodine, we all know in our salt there is iodine. Sulfur is a non-metal which is present in onion, जो onion के अंदर है. Oxygen which we inhale and hydrogen gas which is present in sun. So I hope you all know about that. So all these things are non-metals. And what are their properties? These are either solid or gases. Cable except bromine, which is a liquid. So this is a question for 1 mark. Which non-metal which exist in liquid state at room temperature? So this is bromine. So this is bromine which exists in liquid at room temperature. So all these metals we all know about that. Oxygen and hydrogen, they exist in the form of gaseous form. So do non-metals also have physical properties similar to that of metals? So now our topic is we are talking about their physical properties. In our previous lecture we discussed metals and their physical properties. So today we discuss the physical properties of non-metals. So this is one of the activity for you. Collect sample of carbon, coal or graphite. So koala and graphite. Where is graphite? Your pencil lead. Your tip of your pencil that is graphite. So both of these are the example of carbon. Sulfur and iodine. Carry out the activity 3.1, 3.6 with these metals, with these non-metals and record your observation. And what is our activity 3.1 and 3.6? In our first activity 3.1, what we do कि हमने क्या किया कि कोयले को या फिर ग्रेफाइट को या पेंसिल टिप को we find that is this a luxure? क्या it has a shining surface? So you see koila and graphite, sulfur, iodine, both of these have no shiny surface. So we can say they are not luxure. But iodine have this property, it has a shiny surface. So this is an exceptional case, but it doesn't mean that this is a metal. And whenever we beat the pencil tip, graphite or coal, what we find there? We find that they break down. So this is one of the example, physical property of non-metal. कि हम उन्हें that are not malleable. We can't beat them into thin sheets. They are not luxure. They don't have shiny surface. We can't pull wires through them. They don't have ductility. So these are some properties which are absent in non-metals. So compile your observation regarding metals and non-metals in table 3.1, and this is here we have a table 3.1. So this is your table 3.1. So now further we continue our chapter. On the basis of observation recorded table 3.1, discuss the general physical properties of metals and non-metals in the class. You must have concluded that we can't group elements according to their physical properties alone, as there are many exceptions, for example. So we can't say कि metals जो हैं और non-metals जो हैं, we can say all metals except mercury exist as solid at room temperature. You all know mercury. Mercury, you see in your thermometers, there is mercury metal. So all metals are solid, but there is an exceptional case, which is mercury. Mercury is liquid at room temperature. So this is the exception. And bromine is liquid at room temperature, which is non-metal. All non-metals are solid, either brittle, but only bromine. So you remember that only mercury is the metal which is liquid at room temperature, and bromine is the non-metal which is liquid at room temperature. And in activity 3.5, you have observed that metal have high melting point. So in this activity, what we do this experiment. So when we burn the metals, they don't get melt. They have high melting point. But what about the mercury? Mercury is a metal, but it is liquid at room temperature. So this is again a case of exception. So ये क्या कह रहा है? He want to say that कि केवल physical properties के basis पर, on the basis of physical properties, we can't say which one is metal or which one is non-metal. Now, on the other hand, gallium and cesium, they have very low melting point. So, as we see, metals have high melting point, but mercury is liquid at room temperature. But what about the gallium and cesium? Gallium and cesium, these are the metals, and these have so much low melting point that whenever we put them on, and cesium, they have too much low melting point. Whenever I put these metals on my palm, means whenever I put them on my hand, these metals gets melted. Why these metals get melted? Because of your body temperature. Means too much temperature melts them. इन्हें पिघला देगा इतना कम temperature. So these are the exceptional case. So you several time question arise from here. Which metals have very low temperature? Melting point. So you can say gallium and cesium. And which metal finds liquid at room temperature? So that is mercury. On the other hand, iodine is a non-metal, but it is luxury. So iodine is a non-metal. In our common salt, we several times we read ionized salt. So there is iodine. I have iodine solution. So I have this iodine solution. I purchase it from Flipkart. I show you its color. It is this type of color. It has, you see, its color is yellowish. This type of color. This is iodine solution. So this iodine is added in the common salt. And if I see this, its piece, it in the solid form, then it is lustrous. Means it has a shiny surface. It is shining. So carbon is a non-metal that can exist in different forms. So carbon is a non-metal which exists in several forms. We call them as allotropes. In our 4th chapter, we read what are allotropes. So carbon found in several forms, in various forms. So we can say all these are the allotropes of carbon. Means रूप है वो carbon के. In all these things carbon present. For example, in diamond, in graphite, in wood, carbon present. पर ये सभी एक जैसे नहीं है. Diamond has very shiny surface, it's very precious. Although graphite and wood, they are not so. An allotrope of carbon is the hardest natural substance known and has a very high melting and boiling point. So, we in previous we read that metals have high melting point and they are very hard. But diamond, which is made by the non-metal like carbon, it is hardest substance on our earth And this question is also for you for your exams. Which is the hardest substance on this earth? So diamond is the hardest and most brightest, and it has a high melting and boiling point. Rather, it is a non-metal, but it consists all these properties of metals. Graphite, another allotrope of carbon, is conductor of electricity. What we read in our previous, that metals are conductor of electricity. What happened here? Graphite, which is a non-metal, that is the conductor of electricity. So again, this is a exceptional case. So we can say what he want to say through these points. He only want to say that on the basis of their physical appearance means how you see all these things. They are bright, they are hard, they have high melting point, they are liquid, they are solid. You can't say these are metals and these are non-metals. So alkali metals. What are these alkali metals? You all read periodic table. Those metals which come in your first group, they are alkali metals. Like lithium, sodium, potassium are so soft. Previous lecture we studied that metals are very hard. But what about lithium, sodium and potassium? They are so soft that we can cut with them with knife. They have low densities and low melting point. They are very light and they have low melting point. Elements can be more clearly classified as metals and non-metals on the basis of their chemical properties. So physical properties, they are not able to totally satisfy that which thing is metal or which thing is not metal. So किसका सहारा लिया जाएगा? लिया जाएगा chemical properties का. So in our further video we studied various chemical reactions. So before that we take this activity 3.8. From this activity he said, I take a magnesium ribbon. What is magnesium? Magnesium is a metal. This is alkaline earth metal. What happened when we burn it in the presence of oxygen? And what happened if I take sulfur powder and I burn it? So whenever we burn this sulfur powder and put this ash into the test tube and add some water, then this sulfur powder, he told you that do this activity and write down your observation. But I tell you that sulfur powder, whenever I burn it and I put it into the ash, its ash into the test tube, this powder convert into acids. So most non-metals produced acid oxides. So in your next line, he tell that कि जितनी भी नॉन मेटल्स हैं दे प्रोड्यूसेस एसिड ऑक्साइड्स, बिकॉज ये जो सल्फर है इट प्रोड्यूसेस सल्फ्यूरिक एसिड व्हेन डिसॉल्व्ड इन वाटर विद वाटर. पानी के साथ घुलने पर पानी के H2 से मिक्स होकर इट विल मेक सल्फ्यूरिक एसिड. The other hand, most metal give rise to the basic oxide. And what about the magnesium? Magnesium, whenever you burn this magnesium and add some water in it in a test tube, it make basic oxide. Magnesium क्या बना देगा? Base बना देगा. And sulfur dioxide क्या बना देगी? हमारी sulfuric acid. You will be learn more about these metals oxide in the. So further we will do chemical reactions and we understand, is this true? Non-metals make acids and metals make bases. So let us take these questions. So our first question is, give an example of metal which is a liquid at room temperature. So अभी हमने पढ़ा mercury is a metal which is liquid at room temperature, can be easily cut with a knife. He is talking about the metal. वो metals की बात कर रहा है. So sodium, lithium and potassium, all these are so soft we can cut with the knife. Is the best conductor of heat. So silver and copper are the best conductor of heat. Is the poor conductor of heat. So lead and mercury, these are the poor conductor of heat. Explain the meaning of malleable and ductile. So malleable, what is malleability? to beat into thin sheets. That is called the malleability of malleable. Those metals which can be beaten into thin sheets, they are malleable. And what are ductiles? Those metals which we can draw into thin wires, they are ductile. So I hope you all understand today's topic. Till then, पढ़ते रहें, सीखते रहें, वीडियो को लाइक, चैनल को सब्सक्राइब जरूर करें. जय हिंद, जय भारत.